Hi, my name is Mitsue Giulietti. I'm Associate Minister at the Konko Church of Seattle. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my faith with you today. As we received the spring memorial service just now, I can hear the Mitama's happy comments, such as, "Oh, my son is coming. My grandson brought his wife to church. I am so happy." I have a question for all of you here today. Where is your spirit? Where is your spirit? As you think about it, I would like to share with you a personal Mitama story about my grandfather. My grandfather's younger brother, my great uncle from my mother's side, is Konko head minister in Kyushu, Japan. He does goyo at his church when I was in 20s. Before I entered Konko seminary, I stayed at my grandparents' house and worked at a daycare run by the Konko Church of Amagi, where my grandparents were members. My great uncle sometimes stayed at my grandparents' house during the grand ceremony for the Konko Church of Amagi. They used to talk together about faith story every night at dinner time. They talked about how grateful they were for receiving Kami's blessings. They would also discuss teachings. They praised each other. "Oh, brother, you are so kind and generous. Your faith is so great." Sometimes they would cry. I was surprised at how they were able to express their feelings about how happy they are. One day, my great uncle suddenly asked me, "Do you know where is your spirit?" I was actually unable to respond. I had no idea. In my brain or in my heart? I thought about it a lot. Then he told me this. A spirit is wrapped by your body, then always connected to heaven and earth. I was taken aback how much this made sense. I was spot on and very interesting. During my time at the Konko seminary, I learned about Mitama spirits. Our spirit is called Mitama. It is from Kami-sama, and it represents a small universe, which is part of Kami, which is a larger universe. We are born as a human being within our mom's womb. Having received the spirit and body from Kami, the body is able to move because of the spirit. For example, the spirit is wearing body like clothing. When you passed away, the spirit takes off the clothing and is then free from the clothing. The spirit and body separates and the spirit remains. The spirit then continues to work for 100 years or even 1,000 years or for eternity. So I learned this about Mitama. This is how we learn about the spirit in Konko. Then I experienced an event that made me realize this knowledge is evident. I knew in my brain with my heart. After that, I graduated Konko Seminary and was ordained by Konko-sama as a Konko minister. I met my husband Bobby, got married, and moved to Seattle. I have been living my life challenged to face my own faith through Goyo for the Konko Church of Seattle. One day, when I brought my son Tokyo to play at the park, I saw a boy by the swings. His face was swollen and had a rash. I felt so sad. When I looked closer at his face, he remembered me of a member from my parents' church. I remember he always mentioned about his curiosity of foreign countries, especially the United States. Later that day, while talking to my father, the head minister of my home church told me that the young believer passed away. I was shocked, really surprised because of what happened earlier that day. There is another experience I would like to share with you. I was driving in Seattle and got lost. I ended up at a Hawaiian restaurant which a lady believer had taken me there before. That believer was in the hospital at that time. I prayed for her in the parking lot of the Hawaiian restaurant. An hour later, the believer passed away. I was so surprised. I felt that her Mitama spirit was guiding me to the Hawaiian restaurant. I realized that the Mitama spirits come to us to convey our thoughts to others through various means that transcend time and space. Some people may think that it is only a coincidence. But when such events happen one after another, we have no choice but to believe them. I have had more experience since then, but will share it with you next time. I can say that the presence of the Mitama spirit is not tangible and invisible, but they are definitely around us every day. I would like to now talk about how to relate to the Mitama spirits. Thanking and praising the Mitama, the spirit helps save the Mitama spirit. As I mentioned earlier, your mind can communicate through time and space, means that you can communicate with the Mitama spirit. So, praise the person sitting next to you. So, yes, it's like that. I suggest you do the same for the Mitama spirit that you are related to in front of your altar during your daily prayer. Just as you greet your family and friends. Every time you come to church or when you are in front of your home altar, first clap 4 times toward to Kami. Then turn to the Mitama altar and speak to him or her as if you are greeting a living person. Since the spirit of the Mitama is like a living person, we cannot live without Tenchikane no Kami's care even after death. Therefore, we ask Kami to take care of the Mitama we want taken care of. Thus, we recite the the name of the Mitama spirits we would like Kami to care for. Such thoughts and feelings of ours are communicated to Kami and eventually come back to us. Tenchikane no Kami helps to guide and protect us. If you do not have a home altar, please ask your minister and she will help prepare one for you. Because every house has Mitama or ancestors present, nobody exists without ancestors, and everyone is Kami-sama's child. To give you a clearer picture, each Mitama spirit has virtue. Bank of virtue. Some people have more, some people have less, and some have spiritual debt. Their descendants who succeed them inherit the balance of their virtue and build upon this virtue. Also, these descendants live on the balance of their savings. It's easy to understand if we think of virtue as trust from Kami. The highly virtuous Mitama has the power of protect descendants. On the other hand, there are cases of people who die without being saved because he or she owes a debt of virtue. For such a person without virtue, it is good if the descendants practice faith and ask Kami-sama to save his or her ancestors. If you dislike and don't pray for your parents and ancestors due to the hardship they faced, they will not be saved. If your ancestors are not saved, then you are also unable to be saved. If you live a happy life without hardship, you are receiving blessing from the Mitama spirit and are able to live a happy life. I feel like most people are like that. There are many people like this who don't or forget practice faith and are able to see this. Even such a person can use the ancestral virtue and run out of virtue if they don't practice faith. The founder teaches us that running out of virtue is the scariest thing of all. It means going into spiritual debt. Think about your life and what it means to be in debt. Scary, isn't it? What should we do to accumulate virtue? It is simple. Just practice faith. Practice faith is a three-part set. One is worship at church, silent prayer, and seeking mediation. If one of these is missing, we cannot receive blessings from Kami. It is only by doing just these three things that we can receive the virtue and Kami-sama's trust. I am talking about a method to accumulate virtue. Practice faith and Kami. Practice faith with Kami, you will experience and understand Mitama's virtue for yourself. I hope that as many people as possible will be helped by a teaching. It is only when you experience it that you feel grateful, your true joy of faith. I share this story so many people as possible will be helped through the teachings of Konko Kyo. I believe that Kami will be pleased if you use this method, even if only a little for the reference of practicing faith in the future. Also, lastly, I would like to ask you to join me in prayer for those who have lost their lives in war that is currently happening between Russia and Ukraine. Our fourth Konko-sama taught us world peace starts with peace within the family. Family members should respect, get along, say kind words to each other. So humbly ask all of us to put effort in practicing faith daily, starting with our own hearts and within our own families. Thank you so much. ありがとうございました。